Okay, Salam Alaikum, we're video 8. Okay, so that means keeping their international monetary system alive. Okay, and that's why they another really reason why they're fighting Russia, because they don't want Russia to have its own monetary system whereby they can buy goods and trade goods on the money, because that makes their dollar weak. That makes and Rothschild means Thor's child. Okay, Roth is Thor backwards, and that's a Druidian term or a Nordic term or a Viking term. Okay. So that means, or a Nordic god, right? And so that means keeping him alive, and that means Thor backwards, Roth. Okay, Rothschild is Thor backwards. Okay. So that means keeping the dollar alive. In order to keep Satanism alive, in order to preserve his kingdom, and just the way it was, means keeping all that alive. Which means keeping debt alive, which means keeping usury alive, which means keeping economic hitmen alive, which means keeping poverty alive, which means keeping racism alive, which means keeping classism alive, which means keeping commercialism alive. Commercial prejudice alive, whereby some people are disenfranchised from the market, right? Out of participating in the market, when reality, all of humanity is can't participate in the market, because if you don't have enough, you can't just bring anything into being. You need license for certain things. You don't always have money for things. You got to incorporate. You got to pay the taxes. You got to keep the paperwork done. Everybody can't incorporate, right? So you got to have discrimination in some way, which you got to be able to discriminate, to be able to press some people and keep control, right? So, which also means keeping stereotyping alive, which also means keeping victimizing alive, which also means keeping cultural discrimination alive, which also means keeping death alive, which also means keeping, as we said, Satanism alive, which means keeping Africans divided, and which means keeping Africans oppressed, which means keeping the criminal justice system very criminal. Okay? So that was that. Now let's go to this. Okay? So and that means, okay, which means keeping their spiritual heads, 3 crown heads, and all of that will keep their spiritual crown heads alive, right? And it will keep their jinn godfather, which is represented by the dog, which is represented by Anubis, right? Their Egyptian god Anubis, right? And the dog head, who represents God, okay, in the dog world, okay, which is the world of the jinn, created by the Anunnaki, created by the jinn, right? Okay, created by Iblis, right? Baal, Moloch, whoever you want to call him. Same thing, who was worshipped in Rome, Persia, which is Rome today. All of them were the same, all of one. Whether it be Babylon, whether it be Persia, whether it be Egypt, whether it be Spain, whether it be the British Empire, whether it be any empire, okay? They all ran on the same system, okay? And their job was to oppress humanity. It's just that humanity is waking up now and realizing they don't want to be serfs anymore, and they don't have to be, and that's why they want to depopulate. We discussed that. So as we said, so that means keeping all that alive. To do all that means keeping the crown heads alive. It means keeping the Jinn nation alive, right? The sons of God. Okay, the sons of bitches. Okay, Romulus, and it means keeping Romulus commercial empire alive, and in absolute spiritual authority and control over the physical body of man, right? The temporal world, okay? The collective, and places him in Romulus, who is Romulus now. That would be, the new Romulus would be Rothschild, right? He represents Ra, right? He would represent Ra. He's the God head for the Jinn nation, right? He will be represent the spiritual father, okay? Or he would represent the only begotten. His son will represent God himself, the Godhead, Okay, he's only, let's say, the stand-in for the Godhead, but his son will be think he's God, because he's been told he's God now, and he's been told he owns everything in the world. He owns everything and everybody in his world, and he does in his God world. And I mean, his God world being God being Anubis, the god dog of Egypt, right? And it goes on beyond that, but it's just represented. Now they have it where they can actually teach it. They have a system by which they have organized, so now they can teach it in a school, right? In an institution, right? So now they're telling him he's God. He owns everything in his world. He has the power of the moon, the sun, and the stars, and all that was created by him. And so he's going to actually believe it because he's been taught that from a child, right? So he's going to be the Godhead. That's going to be the Godhead. But right now, Rothschild's just acting, standing in for him. And he's constructing Israel for his son, right? Okay. Who's going to be the God, right? So, so he represents Romulus now. But Romulus, really, the other Romulus, the real Romulus, right? The structured Rome. This one just did basically like a coup d'etat, a spiritual takeover. Who did that? That would be Rothschild. Did that? The family of Rothschild way back then. Okay, did the spiritual coup d'etat. I mean the coup d'etat and then the spiritual coup d'etat when he annexed, let's say, the Vatican. Okay, and took that over, and then annexed America through the Vatican with the crash of the stock market, right? So he's annexing the whole world for his father, his spiritual father, when he annexed Vatican, he became the crown head. He's represents all through crown heads because he's using his central banking to do so, right? So, so everybody incorporates. Everybody becomes a corpse. Everybody becomes a corpse, and everybody incorporates at birth certificate time too, right? Because now their birth certificate represents them incorporating, them becoming a corpse, okay? Because now they're represented by what we call the straw man. They're represented by what? The bond, okay? They're represented by the bond. Now as the body of man, okay, he's part of the commercial corpse. He is institutionalized, completely owned and spiritually operated or manipulated by the commercially demonic Ashkenazi inbred Zionist dynasty of Roth, okay, of Thor, Rothschild. Okay, so now you're going to have the Nordic interpretation of it as well up in this already delusion. Polluted spirituality, okay, demonic spirituality, okay, which is the commercial spirituality of the beast, okay, and their godhead is the dog, and we talked about why, right? He's represented by Anubis, and that's why God backwards spells dog, okay, and that's why I don't say it. That's why I stopped putting it on my daily report on Al Brazeera. My brothers and sisters over there. Anyway, that's why I don't put it on that page anymore. I put him as Allah, and if you have, you are uncomfortable with that, then you do your research. Okay, you can continue to call him God. Okay, but when I'm talking about Allah, I'm talking about the creator of the moon, the stars, the heaven, the earth, the hell, Prophet Abraham, prophet born of a virgin, the virgin herself. I'm talking about him. I'm talking about Prophet Abraham. I'm talking about Yusuf, his son that came from him, his son that went into Egypt as slavery, because that's what Islam is about. I posted what Islam is about. I posted what Islam believes. I'm talking about the one who went in the belly of the whale, Eunice. Okay, they call him Jonas with the Latin J. We talked about that. Okay, all of that. So Islam is about all of that. So you can't say Islam is terrorist, Islam is pagan, Islam is that. No, because now you know some truth. You just need to do some follow-up. If you disagree with me, do your research. If you want to continue to believe as you were taught to believe, as your parents were taught to believe, as your parents were taught to believe, because you got to remember, this goes back way back before your parents were even conceived of being conceived. Okay? So, now who's in control is the Rothschild, because he bought it through the banks, right? He did a spiritual coup d'etat, financial coup d'etat, and a physical coup d'etat, okay? Okay, by bonding everybody through the birth certificates, okay? He's a devil. Okay, so they said, so this is that dynasty, okay. Now, we said, okay, they're inbred, there's an inbred Zionist dynasty. Individuals seeking to conduct business in Rome. Individuals seeking to conduct business in Rome must first must become Roman. They have to become akin to the only begotten, spiritually akin to the only begotten sons of God. Okay, the Ashkenazi god, which is the Anubis, represented by the Anubis, the god dog, and the three-headed god dog, right? The mother, father, and son. Okay, now, and they must pay taxes to Rome out of their paychecks, right? So they got to pay for work in Rome. They got to pay a tribute to the all-male city, right? Because we said only Satan can have only male spirits because he's only male, right? Okay. They got to pay taxes to Rome along with abiding by all the UCC codes. They got to fight in the wars of Lucifer, for Lucifer, and conquer their own natural world, right? So, and that's what and they got to abide by, as we said, those universal commercial codes that is part of what? Canon law, right? Canon law, Canaan law, canine law, okay? Because that's what canon law is canine law, dog-eat-dog world for the dog-eat-dog world. Okay, as it was established by the spirit of Satan, right? Iblis. Okay, and I'm going to stop saying Satan, but when I say Satan, I'm talking about Iblis. Because I don't want to say Saturn, because that's what they use Saturn to represent. Saturn is not an evil planet. Saturn is Saturn. It's a planet created by Allah, okay, which Iblis wants himself to represent as having a body. He has no body. He has no planetary body, and he has no physical body. He has no spiritual body. He's just a piece of shit. Okay, that's all Iblis is a piece of shit, and you ain't got to be scared of his ass either. He's a piece of shit, like his sons are bitches. They're pieces of shit too. And Allah protect me, and I'm going to say it again just so Iblis can hear it, and his followers can hear it, his Neanderthal followers can hear it. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Kul a'udhu rabbil nas, malikin nas, ilahi nas, min sharri waswasikin nas, alladhi yuwaswisu fi suduri nas, min al-jannati wan nas. Ameen. And that means Allah protect me from those evil jinn and their followers, okay, and the evil that they do, and the evil they work against mankind, and the evil they work in secrecy in the dark, and Allah punish them and send asteroids to destroy them if they even think about bothering me or humanity or your African, your natural man. And I'm gonna stop saying African. I'm gonna say, well, I have to say African because you guys seem to forget where you came from and think you can put yourselves better than the natural man who has ability to raise his vibration and elevate his consciousness to the crown chakra, okay, which you guys need to be trying to get back to. So that's the natural man, created of black clay, okay, from which all mankind came, and woman too, okay. Yeah, he's got them, okay. So I'm going to say he's Iblis. I'm not going to say Satan. Their spiritual father is Iblis. Okay? And Allah protect me from Iblis and his Neanderthal, 3 crowns and the devils and all that stuff that they try to do. Allah protect me. Allah punish them. Allah destroy them if they try to bother me on my astral level, me on my spiritual level, me on my ethereal level, me on my astral level, and me on my physical level. And you got to pray for yourself on all 3 levels, because they will try to attack you on your astral level too. They will try to attack you on your ethereal level, that is your spiritual mind, your heart mind, and your physical body, your spiritual body. That's what they'll try to attack. You got to pray to Allah to protect you on all 3 levels. Okay? Because they try to operate on all 3 levels. Okay, so you got to pray to Allah to block them. I pray to Allah to block them on all 3 levels, and should they try to bother me, Allah destroy them. Okay, Allah protect me, Allah love me, Allah guide me, and Allah protect me, because I love Allah and I love all of his creation. Okay, his natural creation and his natural laws are beautiful. Okay, so So they established those codes, Canaan law, dog laws, or canine laws. Okay, they even had a canine nation, Canaan. Okay, established for the spirit of Iblis, the jinn. Okay, and Iblis is known as the father of the jinn. Jinn are demons. Okay, he's the father of the demon, and that's why you got to come out of there. You come out of Babylon, so you don't be connected to that consciousness. And that's what I mean by suckling from the teeth. It's making the people poor. It's making the people think they ain't gotten they're not intelligent, and then getting into their schooling, their educational system, and they think they're stupid because they get grades because they don't know how to learn, and because the way they teach education is fragmented, and it's hard to learn, so and it's stressful to learn, and it's unnatural way of teaching, unnatural way of learning, so the people don't learn. Then they think there's something wrong with them, when in reality there's not. You're just being taught by dogs, you're being taught by canines, and how, some things you can learn from a dog, but you can't learn math from a dog, okay, other than counting. He got 4 legs and his teeth, and you know what I'm saying. So and some of those skulls, and some of those videos of the Neanderthal, that you could see their canine tooth. It was big and it was huge, just like the dog they came from, So, and again, I'm not saying be bad with dogs, because Allah wouldn't want us harming dogs, okay? He wouldn't. He wouldn't want us harming dogs like he wouldn't want us harming pigs, because he created the pig, and, but they were created to do dirty jobs. They were created to do, to eat the feces of when he was created to eat the feces of the other animals when they were on the ship, to keep the ship clean, right? So the bacteria wouldn't spread, and that life that was placed on that ship to be preserved would maintain its preserved. And he created the animal to eat that stuff, specifically to eat that. So the dog, like the pig, had a purpose. Okay, but not for breeding, not for inbreeding with man. Not for bringing those genetic, not for genetic manipulation. No. Okay. So that's what it represents. Okay. So that's what the commercial codes were to cipher off to what's that called? When they're when they take a little bit at a time, they I forget what the word is called. When they taking a little bit of your wealth at a time, just picking it at a time, okay? Ciphering off your wealth so they can keep the Rome alive, okay? Donating to Rome, paying taxes to Rome, okay? Tithing to Rome. That's your tithing. Your taxing is tithing. It's tithing through bondage. Okay, and if the person don't, they go to hell, jail, okay, because that H is interactive, interchangeable. Okay, so that's what they do. And while their spiritual father, head, crown, is represented by Rome, which is also Romulus, which is now Rothschild, right, or the Vatican, or the Holy See, okay, and the crown, as I said, is represented by England. Okay, she represents the astral level. She's supposed to represent the astral level, the bodies of the astral level. Okay, as the crown, the Vatican is supposed to represent the spiritual head, the Word. Okay, but they're all one. Okay, one part, one being, one body, one dog body, Anubis. Okay, they all represent Anubis, the dog. Okay. The only begotten, Lucifer, okay, he represents Iblis. Lucifer represents Iblis. He also represents the dog head, right? Anubis, the god, the dog head represents Anubis, okay? And as we said, it's represented, and it's going to be re-represented by Israel, because that's the home, okay? That's the home of, that's the new home of Rome. It was Rome, then it went to the Anglicans, then it went to the motherhead went to separated, went to England, and then it went to America, and then it's going back to the power. Their power wants to take it to Palestine, and that's why the England or Britain, when it left Palestine, it gave the power to Rothschild. When Rothschild helped drag America into World War II. That was the reward, giving it Palestine. But Palestine, Rothschild is a product of England, So it's just like the same as England having it. But remember, he also owns England, right? Because he took over the bank. So he's going to name his empire, his commercial empire, Israel. Okay? Standing for representing Isis, Ra, that would be the Ezra, and then El would represent high, or the Elohim, the highest, the highest, the hierarchy, or the higher overseers, okay? And El would represent high, so it would be a high house for Isis and Osiris, and he would represent them both as their child, right? As the new Rome, as the new Romulus, okay? So he would represent the Father, he would represent, it's in its entirety, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, because he owns it, right? Now he's in control of it. He bought and sold it. Who controls the crowns controls the spirituality, and he controls the crowns because he bought and paid for it. As the saying goes, which it was said somewhere along the line, he said, he don't care who controls the government. It matters who controls the money. Okay, and they can control the government because the governments borrow money from him, just like the governments borrow money from the central banks, which are private banks, right? Okay, so it's all game. So so as I said, so now so it's going to be represented. Rome's going to be represented by Israel, and that's why they want to hurry up and get those people out. I mean, not the people, but the Palestinians out. That's why the genocide took place during last Ramadan, their holiest month, Muslim holy month, right? To also break their spirit, so they'll think, oh, why is God letting that happen to them? There must not be, why to break their faith, and to make them leave Palestine too. So it was done on many levels, okay? But the Palestinians maintained their faith. They showed more faith. That's what they did. They showed more faith, and I pray Allah shall give them great reward this Ramadan and every Ramadan after. And I pray that Palestine will become free of Israel, and that Palestine will become one nation with one spirituality, and that is the spirituality for Jews, for the family of Abraham, who followed the teachings of Musa, and Moses, who followed the teachers, and those who follow the teachings of the prophet born of a virgin, who say that they are Christians. So that nation is who it was for and who it is for. The Jews, the Christians, and the Muslims, who are one ummah, who are one family, and need to come together and understand how their spirituality has been tainted, has been infected, how they've been manipulated and divided, how they are one race, an African race, okay, born of the natural woman and the natural man, and not of evolution, who were created and not of evolution, who follow the teachings of these prophets, and who are to be in that land, and how they were divided to fight one another and to see themselves as different, how they came between man and woman in Babylon with this jinn spirit and all this stuff. Okay, so let there be one Palestine for Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, one Palestine, Muslim, Christians, and Jews. Let it be a holy nation, inshallah, for Christians, Muslims, and Jews, and let them get along as they always had prior to the British occupation, prior to the terrorist attacks on Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Okay, we're one race of humanity. Okay, but Thor's one who represented Thor wants to take it over, right? And call it Israel. Okay, yeah, the devil is real, and his name is Rothschild. Okay, he's going to be embodied in one in a Rothschild, and y'all better get out of Babylon because it's going down soon. It's going down soon. Okay, and Allah protect us. Okay, humanity. Okay, thus is the three-headed commercial crown dog heads of Gog. That would be the father god, the dog god, and Anubis, and the spiritual god, mother godhead of the spiritual god, one god, Anubis, and the son, spiritual godhead, Anubis, all represented by that sons of God going into the daughters of women, then breeding with dogs and becoming Neanderthal race. Okay? Now, okay, so Vatican, and the Vatican, as it sits upon what? 7 hills, representing the heaven, okay, the 7th heaven, because remember we said there's 7 dimensions, so he's sitting upon 7 hills, okay, in the east, representing Ra, okay, as we said, sitting atop 7 high hills, is Rome, the commercially spiritual godfather, who represented by Romulus, who's now represented by Rothschild, right? Okay, because of what we say, the East, and it is a canine, and following the canine laws, the canon laws, right, of Canaan, which is what, Canine nation of Babylon, right, yeah, okay, which they try to say, which they say was promised to the children of Israel, okay, and that's why they try to cover that up with Israel as Isis and Ra, okay, which I have not discovered that because, and God changed his name to Israel, okay, to give them some history. No, they changed the name, okay. Well, God may have changed the name because God is their Anubis, right? Okay, so now, and as we said, Ra is to represent the sun with the masculine energy, right? Thus, it represents the heaven, that is the 7 hills. It represents heaven on earth. Has heaven on earth, and he's sitting in heaven on earth, okay? Among all that wealth and having everybody slave for him. Yeah, so he is in heaven, okay? That dog is in heaven. That son of a bitch is in heaven, okay? While the rest of the world is in hell, okay? Okay, so he's sitting high above in the spirit, in the 7 hills, which are supposed to be the 7 heavens, okay, of consciousness, okay? He represents the supreme masculine direct energy, just as the sun represents direct energy, as we said, or a direct current. Thus, direct current represents male power, which he has. We said Iblis has none, right? That's why he gets it from, steals it from the female, steals the female power, because she's even weak. She's weak, right? She's supposed to be protected by her man. That's why he came in between man and woman. Okay, she gets her spiritual word from the man, right? Because the spirit, all the prophets were men, right? And I'm not going against that. I'm just not going against it. But I am recognizing that's where it came from. Woman has her position, right? Okay. But all the prophets were men. Okay. A woman's job is, you know, well, she has her position in the family too, right? Okay. And remember, the man is not her head. He's the spiritual head of the body, and she's the heart of the body. Okay, and if he wants to take care of, he wants to take care of his heart. He wants to take care of his body. Take care of his heart. Then he take care of it. The heart will take care of the body. The body will take care of the family, and then he will be all right. Okay, remember, if the mama's not happy, ain't nobody happy. Okay, so heaven. Okay, so that's the spiritual consciousness, right? Represented by male consciousness. Yeah. Okay, so now, and what did we say? Okay, so that's the new nation, the new world order. That's the new world order, the order of evolution. Okay. Now, so the West represents the domain of what? The woman. It represents the realm of Venus, right? The sister of God, their dog God, right? So they breeded the brother and the sister together. That's what they did for their world of evolution. Okay, to create that new world, right? And I guess those that came out whacked, and they bred with the dog, because they could do that and create their lower subjects, their Neanderthal lower subjects. Okay, so they had a hierarchy among themselves and a lower hierarchy among themselves. Those to serve the god, but they breeded with the human beings, so the human beings would be mixed with that, and they control the human beings too, and then decrease their consciousness through the penile their penile gland system, right? Okay, so she would be the mother god, okay, and the sister of God, and the father of the son god, right? Okay. And her realm, as I said, would be represented as the underworld. The world, that's what the female represents, right? The underworld. She represents the east, and that's why the standard intercourse position is under, right? And she came second, right? Because she was created after the man, right? So she would be, her domain would be represented under the man, right? Feminine energy is not as intense as masculine energy or direct energy, right? It's softer energy, okay? And it needs to be softer to interact with the children, the young that are coming up, right? Okay. And as we said, she's known as what? The Holy Grail, the Holy Vessel. And the Holy Veil because what? She carries the God child, right? The dog child. Okay? So that would be the Holy Mother, the woman crowned head. Okay, or the dog crown, female dog crown here. She, as I said, she would represent Venus, and she would represent Isis, and she would represent, as Isis would represent Egypt. Isis would be Egypt. She would be considered Egypt. She would be considered, Egypt is a female nation. Egypt is a female. Egypt represents a female. It represents the woman, that the woman who interbred. You see what I'm saying? But it represents Africa. It represents the African woman, right? But remember, they counterfeit, right? So the African woman represents Egypt, right? Okay, so therefore they got to counterfeit that too. So their crown head's got to reflect Egypt. So she's got to be Egypt. And just as their female went, their spirit jinn was mated with, not mated, but fused. The spirit that the spirits were fused. The spirit of the woman and the spirit of the jinn were fused, right? The sons of men and gods going into daughters of women, right? So she represents Egypt. That's what she's supposed to represent, Egypt. Okay, she is to be Egypt. That's who she's supposed to be. Okay, okay. Electromagnetic energy. Okay, represents that. The embodiment of that. She's the embodiment of Egypt. The manifestation of Egypt. Masari el Medunya, right? The mother of Egypt. No, the mother of the world. That's what Masari el Medunya. Masari means Egypt. Dunya means world. Okay, mother of the world. Masari el Medunya. Okay. Now, so the black, and as I said, she's supposed to represent the black African mother, okay, of all humanity, the African woman. And we now so you can see that counterfeit because, you know, she's a Neanderthal. Okay, so, and her son represents the morning star, Lucifer, right? So that's why Israel is to be El is Ra. Okay, El is Ra. That's what Elizabeth represents. Elizabeth. In Arabic, Bet is a house. So El high, Eliza, but it's Eliza, okay? Elisa is supposed to be Isis. El Isis Bet, or the high house of Isis. That's what it's supposed to be. Elizabeth is supposed to be represent the house. Elizabeth, the house. El for El, Elizabeth, is to represent the high house. I mean the high house means Elsabeth. El Bet, high house, and Elisa is supposed to be Isis. So that's what Elizabeth is, her name's supposed to represent. Okay? As her son represents her grandson, Will I Am. Okay? The will he is. That's what the will of Iblis, he is. Okay? And so that's the meaning, okay, as we said, representing Isis, and Bet representing house in Arabic, okay? Okay, so we done that. Okay, salam alaikum. We're going to go to video 9. Salam alaikum.